Hello everyone, LRon here with part 98 of my Total Terraria World Annihilation. So, I'm pretty sure that at some point towards the end of the previous cohort I briefly mentioned that I have started playing Dark Souls 2. Um, so by now I've played a considerable amount of it, and the verdict is it is the worst Souls game I have ever played in my entire life. Um, Dark Souls 1 and even Demon Souls was considerably better than Dark Souls 2. They basically destroyed everything that was sacred about the Souls games leading up to it. Much like how Bethesda screwed up pretty much everything sacred about Fallout 4, or Fallout in general in the Fallout 4 installment, rather. Um, so they decided to add some ghetto mechanic about making it so that soul level doesn't mean anything anymore. It's all about soul memory now, which is basically the sum of all souls ever collected. Um, so basically, the idea is you gather 10,000 souls, let yourself die, fail to recover your bloodstain. That 10,000 souls that you never actually used for anything at all because it was taken from you by the system, and more so your lack of ability to retrieve your own corpse. That 10,000 is going to be remembered. It's going to be um, in your pool of um, matchmaking calculation. So leveling up, you know, you now can just basically do it as much as you want, given the fact that holding on to your souls or even upgrading gear or buying a stockpile of arrows or upgrading your pyromancy glove, all that stuff, is now treated equal in terms of soul memory. Which also gives a distinct disadvantage to people who are archers, because if you go and plop 1,000 souls for a stack of arrows, or multiple thousand for the good ones, then that's souls that you could have been used to make yourself better instead of to, you know, take care of necessities. So then also they made it so that all mobs have finite spawns. So if you go and kill the same hollow archer 15 times, he'll stop showing up, which defeats the whole concept of going out and, you know, having to conserve your resources to get to a boss, because you can just farm the path out and walk straight to the boss if you were so inclined. So, yeah, it makes it too easy in that sense. And then it makes it considerably more difficult to farm souls if you needed improvements, given the fact that you can eventually get to a point where your world doesn't have any trash mobs left and you just have bosses and you're not good enough. Now, luckily, you can still leave signs and gain souls from other people's worlds and all that kind of good stuff, so you're not quite as hosed on that front as I would lead on, but it certainly also makes farming for ultra rares essentially impossible, given the fact that if you don't get the item you need in the 15 kills, you need to either wait until you beat the game and get it in NG+, or use an extremely rare item to basically set a region into the next plus level prematurely and reset the 15 timer. And then they also mucked with another sacred concept. The concept that if you are undead, you cannot be invaded. Now, anyone can be invaded at any point, so now you have to be, scared when you go to retrieve a big corpse, because if you happen to get invaded and they happen to defeat you, you now lost that corpse, and by virtue of the fascist soul memory movement, your 50,000 souls that you left behind are now going to count against your permanent record. And then they've got mobs that cannot be locked on, so you could be right in front of them, hit your lock on button, and nothing will ever happen. Luckily, I've only encountered one general region where those mobs take place. But for a glass cannon wizard that essentially requires the auto lock to be competent in battle, that's quite a detriment. I had to maximize an S stock and make it infused with enchant just for those guys. And I used the heavy sweep attack against those guys so that basically I don't have to worry about the lack of ability to lock on. Okay, so I think I'll leave it at that for my grievances with the game. Content-wise, I've killed the 4 primeval demons. I have their souls. I'm supposed to go seek the king, but right now I'm messing around in the Iron Fortress. I've killed the boss that leads the crown, and now I'm in the offshoot region where you go to fight the smelter demon. So that's where we're at presently, and this is all kind of obnoxious for me because this region is highly everything resistant, including magic. So I'm kind of hosed, but yeah, with a good battle plan, we'll eventually get it to work out. That Smelter Daemon can't beat us forever. Just like how that one douche boss that would heal itself if you didn't use the 4 smelter wedges to prevent healing. That guy took us some effort. We kind of needed some planets to align, but we killed him eventually. Yeah, so sadly, pyromancies are no longer, or I guess spellcasting in general doesn't use dexterity to determine its speed anymore, so no more clever hybrid builds that allow you to be perfect dex weapon guy, a perfect archer, and a perfect pyromancer, all with super minimal stat requirements. Although, fortunately enough, I guess, that whole soul memory crap prevents you from wanting to buy arrows in the first place. So, hopefully that's enough of my Dark Souls 2 discussion, and the video is now coming to an end, so I will see you next video.